Hold on. I don't know why my iPad keeps doing that. Oh man. Alright, let me restart this real quick. Mm-mm-mm. Oh, my stomach making weird noises. Alright. Virus outbreak live. Alright, let's make everything public. There we go. I'm not gonna go live on Twitch, but that's fine. Alrighty, or should I? Probably not, no. Because, like I said, Twitch, I don't post any videos on there. So yeah. Alrighty, pin comment. There we go. Alright, pin both comments. Alrighty. So before we get started, also let me get my water. Also, by the way, I got a little blister right here. Whatever. Which I had one right here a couple weeks ago, but now I got one right here. It's where I actually bit on my freaking right there while I was eating. Now I got a blister. I'm famous for getting blisters, but that's fine. So we are talking about the Hantavirus. I've been saying it all day long, and now it seems like that I can't say it. Thank y'all guys for the likes on YouTube also. Welcome in everyone. Alrighty. So before we get started, Molly, welcome in. How you freaking doing? Dusky, welcome in. How you freaking doing? And from Battle Cats, welcome freaking in. How was everybody freaking doing? Let's get started. Let's talk about this this virus going on. Dusky says, "How are you? I'm doing good." All right, guys. Let's freaking get started. Let's get started talking about this antivirus. Let's see what is today looking like. Yesterday it was pretty bad still. Which was my first day on live stream talking about this. This is the second day of me doing this. So yeah, let's get started. All right, let's check up in the news. So apparently, let me check what news is it. What news is supposed to go live in a few seconds? CNN. Supposed to go live around 6 o'clock, talking about the antivirus. So if we're still live by time 6 o'clock, we'll watch it for sure. All right, so let's get started today. Let's see what today is looking like. Alrighty. Alrighty. Alright, so I've got a lot of questions about, people were asking me, is this virus still spreading? So far they're monitoring different states right now, different countries. So we're gonna get to the topic of that also today. All right. So apparently they're trying to track down some people, who has left the ship also, and they're monitoring some people that are sick. I've heard about. I haven't read too much about it, but we will get down into it. Because like I said, I'm doing researching while I'm at school and while I'm here too before I get on live, but I'm not even looking at nothing else. I'm just trying to see, I'm just trying to see if other people are posting it and see how popular it's getting and see how it goes. So we're live on Facebook also. I was going to go live on Twitch, but I decided not to. because I don't post the videos on Twitch at all. It's just YouTube and Facebook. Alrighty. Alright, this was posted 2 hours ago by Fox News. It is the hantavirus in the US. Alrighty, we talked about this yesterday. I literally said maybe 2 weeks, maybe even a month, the virus will probably spread over here. Apparently in Georgia, someone who has it and they're trying to keep an eye out and look on the person. So we will keep on. All right. So hantavirus in the U.S., where the rare, sometimes deadly disease has been found. Alrighty. Alrighty. So we got a doctor that says apparently a doctor says says pandemic is near zero. So which they said that the same thing about COVID too, and I said the same thing about COVID back then when I streamed it and stuff. So in my opinion, I think that right now the pandemic is not even at risk at the moment, so which that's obviously a good thing. But what is not a good thing is that this virus, if since they don't have no cure or nothing, right? This virus, it could die out quick. Um, I want to tell for all the viewers and stuff and on Facebook and YouTube, if you don't see me even posting the videos about it, shorts, or don't even go live anymore about it, therefore it's gone or dying off. Over my states, I rarely see people wear masks, so they don't care anymore about the pandemic. So about that, a lot of people should. Now, I would say this: if you are in a bad state of risk of your health and stuff, I do recommend to begin to continue to take vitamins if you do. Some people do who have bad health. I do recommend keep taking vitamins every day, and I do recommend wearing a mask everywhere you go. Even if you're in Virginia like me, um, this virus it doesn't play. It really doesn't. In my opinion, it is worse than COVID for sure. Because COVID, for old people, it is affecting the heart, but apparently for young people, it's also affecting the heart also, even teenagers. But back into COVID affected old people's heart and also like babies' heart, or kids who are like at the age of 5, 10, and lower, um, and old and very, very like about in their 60s or seven. You know what I'm talking about. So, alrighty. Um, all right, let's look at this real quick. Okay. All right, so apparently we got some. So, like I said, pandemic is definitely not at risk, as people said, but remember, they said the same thing about COVID also. Um, Hold on. I'm trying to look up the states that they're monitoring right now because I've heard of they're monitoring some states right now. So, all right, let's check this out. Let's put 2026 real quick just to make sure we got 100% results. I don't want to give out no false news. All right, here we go. We got it right here. All right, as of May 7th, 2026, health officials in at least five U.S. states. Number 1, California. 2, Arizona. 3rd, Georgia. 4th, Texas. 5, Virginia. The reason why Virginia is at risk is because yes, we have rats in our area a whole lot and throughout the whole state. But I mean, rats are everywhere, honestly. Um, but apparently there was someone from California, Arizona, Georgia, Texas, and Virginia who were on that ship, and apparently they are being watched. So we don't got the disease, and now they're calling it a disease. Just to let everyone know that I called it a I called it a disease also, and not a virus. Yes, it's a virus, but everyone is calling it a disease now because due to the rats. So not rather we just got a virus just spreading around. We got a full-on freaking disease that is actually spreading around, which is actually bad. So in my opinion, I don't really look at this as a virus anymore due to them calling it a disease. But here, let me get this real quick. All right, there we go. If anyone has any questions about it, like what are the symptoms and everything else, I'll answer that also. All right. All right, here we go. Passenger status as of May 6th and through 7th, which is in 2026 of now. All right. None of the U.S. residents being monitored have shown any symptoms of the virus. So, none of the people who are in U.S. All right. Hey, welcome in. How you doing? All right. So, apparently, if people who are in the United States, as the states, what I just said, if none of them show any symptoms, and I mean this, if none of them show symptoms at all for at least an eight weeks, because yes, it takes eight. Sometimes it takes 8 weeks for them to have this virus thing or whatever, as apparently. So apparently that if they start showing symptoms, then I hate to break it to everyone that there could be a chance of a full pandemic that will be arising, in my opinion. So were about a dozen cases here and last year. Yeah, but this year, dude, started on a freaking ship. So today it looks like we're gonna be looking at a lot actually. All right, I'll be right back. All right, I'm gonna go grab something, and then we'll get started with more details. Alrighty, I'm back. All right. So yes, we are going to. I think around 6 o'clock, We're gonna be watching the news, the CNN news. Because they're the news that are going live at 6 that we're gonna watch. And apparently, if I'm correct, they should be talking about the virus also. So let's see, CNN news. Alrighty. Alrighty. Alright, let's check. Alright. Um, William, welcome in. How you freaking doing, man? How are you doing? Alright, so apparently. Oh, they're going live 2 times today. Okay, not bad. Alright, well, we'll check it out later. We'll see what happens. Alright, let's see what ABC 13 News is talking about right now. Did you just go live? Yes, we've been live for 14 minutes. I'm just talking about the virus that is going around. Second live stream of we're talking about this. So what are they talking about?
State where our Becky Worley had a whale of a time.
ABC 13 News don't ever talk about nothing. I don't even watch the news. ABC News, they don't ever talk about their own viruses. They don't talk about nothing unless if it gets like super, super bad. But they're always late about all that, which is actually very horrible of them. So I've been watching CNN news because they've been on the case like crazy. So yeah. All right. Alrighty. So antivirus now in 6 countries. Officials present new. So yeah. Apparently the antivirus is now in 6 countries, all freaking ready. So, which is not good whatsoever. Not good whatsoever. 6 countries all freaking ready. Well, let's look up these countries real quick. Let's look up these countries real quick. Oh, Lord. Alright, what countries? What countries? What countries? What countries? I don't want to watch a video right now. What countries are we looking at? What countries? So we know we got America. We're looking at that. They're monitoring uh Georgia, Arizona so far. Alrighty, let's see. Argentina, obviously. That's where it basically. Germany? Wow. The Netherlands? Wow. Mm, South Africa, yeah. Spain, that's crazy. Switzerland, yep. United Kingdom? Mm-mm-mm. United States, yeah. All right, the New York Times reported that authorities in at least 3 states, Arizona, Georgia, and California, are monitoring previous passengers of the ship, and none have shown symptoms, which that's actually good. That is good. That is good so far. So, if we're looking at United States right now, all right, let's just stick on the United States right now. In United States, at this moment, if we're looking at, like, since there's people that are not showing any symptoms, all right, apparently this sickness could take up to 8 weeks to a month or to 2 months of not showing any symptoms, and then you end up just randomly get symptoms. That's actually weird and crazy. But if they start showing symptoms and it continues to spread, like I'm talking about, like if they're showing symptoms and it spreads through everyone else, then there's a chance that we will be in pandemic once again. But there's a lot of people saying that there's a zero chance that we're going to be in a pandemic. They think it's just a virus is just going to go around and die off. Like I told everyone, if I no longer stream about this virus anymore, therefore it's died off. Because like I said, I'm a gamer. I don't ever stream about viruses and stuff. But like I said, if I ever stop streaming about this, therefore it's completely died off. It's not even a thing anymore. But because the news, they may still talk about it, this. But if I feel like there's no point me streaming it, then therefore I just won't be streaming it. But so far, it is still looking very bad at the moment. Like I already told everyone, if you don't feel safe, if you feel like that, it's going to come close to your hometown and it continues to spread and you feel like it will spread, wear a mask, continue to take vitamins and stuff and continue to, just to continue to fighting. That's all I'm going to say. On the other hand, if it continues to spread over and over and over and it's out of hand and you hear everyone talking about it and everyone is worried, therefore we're back at it again. But they're saying the same stuff as COVID-19. Um, when they looked at COVID, they said that it's not going to spread as much. They said it's going to die off. They're saying the same thing over and over and over again. I'm looking at the 2 videos that we're watching about this virus and COVID virus, and they're basically saying the same exact thing. Saying that how it's gonna die off, and this and this and this and this. So, like I said, do please subscribe to the channel and just continue to watch. Because if, like I said, if I no longer post about anything like this, if I don't even stream about this anymore, therefore we're not even gonna have a pandemic. We're not even gonna it just died off. That's all I'm gonna say, because I don't like streaming about none of this. The reason why I've started it is because I just want to see how it goes. I just want to really see how this goes. Alright, so let's go back to the news. Alrighty. And let's go ahead and check at a few things real quick. Oh, here we go, right here. Alrighty, so apparently you could actually have a kidney disease, um, if you get the sickness. So not rather just hits the heart, it hits the kidneys also. So if you get the sickness, you could even have a kidney disease from this thing, and you could freaking simply just die off. COVID didn't really do that. COVID really affected kind of the heart, but mainly your breathing. You see what I'm saying? But this is affecting the kidneys apparently, which is not good. And I do not like seeing that, because imagine you get this sickness like 5 times, dude, and it affects your kidneys over and over again. Don't you want to freaking imagine? Thank you for the like, by the way. Alright. How long ago was this posted? This is 9 hours ago. This is an hour ago. Our officials race to contain Hantavirus outbreak after 30 cruise passengers disembarked traveled globally, which they got on a plane. Man, whoever was sick, and whoever was sick and they didn't show no symptoms, and they were actually sick and they probably didn't know it, they spreaded it to everyone on that plane, and people could be going to different places. So that's how it's gonna. All right, the United States have been alerted. Also, we were not even alerted whatsoever. We were just warned. That's it. Now we're alerted. So that's posted today. Yesterday we were just warned. That's actually crazy how we go from being warned to freaking alerted, which is kind of the same thing. But there's two different things if you look at it, because we're just being warned. So hey, you better watch out. Now we're alerted. Now we're actually opened up and being like, wait a minute. You know what I'm saying? All right. We are going over the symptoms also. Global health authorities are now trying to track down those passengers and others who may have come in contact with them. Uh-oh. So, the passengers like on the plane and stuff, they're also trying to track them down also. Apparently, I guess. The reason why is because you never know, they could also now be affected, which is not good. Alright, let's watch the first video of today. We've been live for 22 minutes now, so let's get on with it. Like I said, I can't show any videos on Facebook or YouTube because I'll get copyrighted. So let's get CNN news. 6 hours ago, Hantavirus now in 6 countries officials. Let's see what happens.
Kathy's a traveling dog. She just.
Health officials around the world are racing to contain a deadly outbreak of hantavirus that's linked to this cruise ship in the Atlantic. The Dutch airline KLM says one of the ship's passengers, who later died after contracting the virus, boarded a flight in South Africa before the plane's crew decided she was too sick to travel. The Georgia Department of Public Health says 2 people who returned home to the state after getting off the ship are being monitored right now, and 1 Arizona resident.
Yeah, honestly, so here's the map right here, all right? So apparently you could have a look at this too. So we got the whole globe map right here. All right, Arizona is nothing but full of freaking red. California is nothing but full of freaking red. So therefore, there's a chance that it is going to spread through those both states. Which is not good. That's almost say not freaking good. But right now we're just being monitored. That's it. So if later on, if they're saying we're not being monitored anymore, we're good to go, then they're going to take the red off. But if someone ends up being sick, even just one person, I would kind of say we're doomed.
Who was also on board is also being watched by officials there. And according to the New York Times, California residents were on the ship as well. CNN's Randy Kay looks now at how this virus may have spread.
This was an expedition boat, and many of the people on board were doing bird watching.
Turns out a bird watching tour may be the source of this hantavirus outbreak. According to the Associated Press, 2 Argentine officials investigating how this started said their government is leaning toward the idea that a Dutch couple contracted the virus while bird watching in the city of Ushuaia, Argentina, before boarding the ship. The AP reports the couple visited a landfill during the tour and may have been exposed to infected rodents. That 70-year-old Dutch man was the first to die on the ship, days after they left port in Argentina. His 69-year-old wife
All right, let's go back a little bit. Hold
had been
on.
exposed to infected rodents. That 70-year-old Dutch man was the first to die on the ship.
All right, here we freaking go. Of April. All right, right now it's May, right? May, June. All right, so April 1st, 2nd, they were on there. And it went through April 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th. He died because due to the sickness. April 11th, the first man died due to sickness. All right, let's go in with it.
Days after they left port in Argentina. His 69-year-old wife died about 2 weeks later. The rest
Which is the 26th.
of the people on board, including nearly 150 passengers,
So
are now
he died April 11th. She died April 26th. Do you see that? Do you see how big of a freaking difference that is? Look at this. They're husband and wife. So obviously, it took her a while to show freaking symptoms. That's it. It took her a while just to show symptoms. It took her all the way to 11th to the 26th. Which is actually crazy.
now on a 3 to 4 day journey from Cape Verde to Tenerife in the Canary Islands.
Yeah.
Spain
Cape Verde or whatever, that's where it traveled, and then it went up to Canary Islands also. So
has agreed to receive the ship there. Upon arrival, the plan is for all passengers to be taken to a nearby airport and sent back to their home countries.
and that's the problem right there. They allowed them to actually take them back to their own home countries and stuff. Do you see exactly how that happens? If they left them on a ship and everyone like recovered later on, then we wouldn't even have this problem. But guess what happened? They're letting them go back to their home countries and stuff, and now it is actually spreading. It's like sitting in a classroom and this kid got the flu, and next thing you know, everyone's like skipping days because now they got it.
The 14 Spanish citizens will be examined and go directly into quarantine at a Madrid hospital.
This is the country of Cape Verde in front of us, but it is forbidden to go down to it.
This travel vlogger on board posted on social media about the predicament they now find themselves in.
Today was supposed to be the last day of our 35-day trip on the Atlantic, but it is clear that our journey will not end here because Cape Verde refused to receive us on its coasts.
Earlier today, this medical evacuation boat removed 3 sick people from the ship. On their way to the Netherlands, a source from Spain's health ministry told CNN that Morocco refused to let the plane carrying 2 of the evacuees land to refuel. Instead, it made an unscheduled landing at Gran Canaria Airport to do so.
People are usually infected through contact with infected rodents, or their urine, their droppings, or their saliva. Human-to-human transmission is uncommon.
Yet in this case,
All right. So what she's talking about right there is like how the rats are and stuff. If they bite you, scratch you, urinate on you, you possibly there's a like 95 chance that you're I would say 85 chance, 75 chance maybe that you could get it, because like I said, a lot of rats are contaminated with diseases and stuff, and so that's exactly what's happening. Whoever got it first, and so but for some reason, it is actually going to person. So, which is not good.
the World Health Organization believes the virus may have been transmitted person to person on board. And just today, following lab tests, confirmed this is the Andes strain of the virus, which has spread among.
I'm calling it the Antivirus or whatever, because the Antivirus, there's a different thing to it. The Hantavirus is where you could only get it from like a rat or something like that. But apparently these rats also have the same disease where it could transfer to person, and so which it's weird.
Close contacts before.
We're also working with authorities for anyone that has left the ship.
In fact, the Swiss Federal Office of Public Health has confirmed that a passenger who traveled on the first leg of the voyage and disembarked at St. Helena on April 24th has now tested positive for Hantavirus. That passenger, according to the cruise company, is being treated at a hospital in Zurich. His wife, who is with him, has not shown symptoms but is self-isolating as a precaution.
So, and my nose is itching because, dude, I got allergies too. So it kind of seems like that a husband and wife, or even boyfriend and girlfriend, since, they're together and they always stay close together, it seems like that there's a chance that she'll probably get it, I'll say, maybe. If not, she's blessed.
Randy Kay, CNN, New York.
New OGX Scalp Serum. Non-greasy. For hair that feels weightless.
Alright, that's it. That's only 9 minutes. Crazy I won't buy that quick, I think, right? That's fine, whatever. Alright, that was 2 days ago. We've already watched that video. We want to watch the news, so that's a day ago. We've already watched that too. Alright. Alright. This is 23 hours ago. How dangerous is the antivirus? And there's different ways you could say it. You could say the Hantavirus or antivirus or antivirus, even though it has an A right there next beside the T. So.
How dangerous is hantavirus, the rare but lethal infection that's broken out on a quarantined cruise ship? Hantavirus is a family of viruses carried by rodents like mice and rats. It spread to humans through contact with infected urine, droppings, or saliva. You may have heard of hantavirus last year, when Betsy Arakawa, the wife of actor Gene Hackman, died of the disease in Santa Fe. Now, at least 3 people are dead and several others are ill aboard a cruise ship in the Atlantic Ocean. According to the CDC, about 38% of people who develop respiratory symptoms from the virus die. There is no vaccine or specific treatment.
Yep, see exactly what she said. There is no vaccine, no treatment. All what you could do is probably take Advil and coughing medicine and whatever other medicines, but like I said, at the end of the freaking day, dude, I mean, people are just gonna die from it. This is 17 hours ago. Antivirus patient aboard cruise ship arrived in Europe. About that, also arrived in Europe after let off the ship. Excuse me. So it was 4 hours ago. The worldwide effort to contain the hantavirus. All right. So what is the antivirus and how it spreads? BBC News 2 days ago. We know how it spreads now. Alright, let's hear this guy. I don't really like this guy. I'm sorry to say this. I really don't like this guy much. Welcome in. How you doing, Beacon? I really don't care for much of this guy because just the way he is. He says this hantavirus outbreak. He says this hantavirus outbreak public health risk remains low. He said the same thing back in COVID, so I really don't care much about this guy. But let's see what he says.
So far, 8 cases have been reported, including 3 deaths. The species of hantavirus involved in this case is the Andes virus,
Thank you for a like on Facebook.
which is found in Latin America and is the only species known to be capable of limited transmission between humans.
Yeah. All right. So, like I said, about yesterday's live, I've been doing this for 2 days now, and I've been studying it for a couple days before I decided to go live on it. So apparently, yes, this disease, they're not calling it a virus no more. They may say virus, but now they're calling it a high risk of disease. So, about the sickness, it's still a virus, but people are saying it is now a disease now. Because, like I said, rats carry diseases, and this is where the sickness comes from, but they're calling it a whole complete different thing. So apparently this thing could affect your kidneys, which is horrible, but we're not going to go over that. We're going over the states and stuff and countries. So apparently it's in Georgia. Well, they're monitoring it. It's not spreading, they're just monitoring it. It's in Georgia, Arizona, Virginia. Apparently they're monitoring because someone else was also on the plane who aboard on there. So, and we also got Texas, which is another one, California. So apparently Arizona and California are in the big red right now because they are 2 big states that possibly they have I would say 75 chances that if that person is positive, and therefore that person is going to spread it through. And if it spread, like I said, if it spreads to Arizona and if it spreads to California, then we are screwed for sure. But like I said, if I no longer stream about this virus anymore, that means it's dying off or it's just not a thing anymore. Because like I said, I don't ever stream about this stuff. And like on Fortnite right now, we are doing this virus thing.
WHO is aware of reports of other people with symptoms who may have had contact with one of the passengers. In each case, we're in close contact with the relevant authorities. While this is a serious incident, WHO assesses the public health risk as low. Our priorities are to ensure the affected patients receive care, that the remaining passengers on the ship are kept safe and treated with.
So about this, I'm not streaming Fortnite right now, guys. I won't be on today. That's the only thing I'm doing right now. I'm just streaming about this virus until it slows up, or if it gets worse. I don't know. But like I said, but yeah, we're just going to be streaming about this virus thing. There we go. That's better. About this public health thing. This guy keeps on saying that the spreading and all this stuff and the pandemic or whatever. I don't think we'll have a pandemic. I actually think we won't. That's my opinion. I'm not gonna say no or yes. I think we won't. So that's a no. I don't think we'll have a pandemic. That's my opinion. Cause I don't know. I don't know. I think this disease versus flu, I think it'll probably die off maybe, but we'll see.
Dignity and to prevent any further spread of the virus. So far, 8 cases.
Alrighty. Alright, Alright, hantavirus outbreak is not the next COVID. Let's find out. 5 hours ago.
This is not the next COVID, but it is a serious infectious disease. You know, it's an infectious disease that if
You see how she said it's an infectious disease, not a virus?
people get infected, and infections are uncommon, they can die. And please let me just add that the risk to the general public is low. And I think we need to contextualize this because there's a lot of attention, and it's good that we're seeing attention, but we do want to put in context to what we mean for everyone saying, oh my gosh, is this the next one? I think people see me sometimes and I think, it's like the next COVID. And I really just want to assure people this is something that's quite different. This is not the next COVID.
I just hope she knows she's not God and she's nobody. That's what I'm gonna say. She don't know nothing. She doesn't know nothing whatsoever. I don't even care who this person even is. Because she said the exact same thing about COVID. And now also about this virus. Now, like I said, I'm gonna say I don't think so. But she's saying, oh, we're not. I don't know. I'm just gonna say I don't think so. Because the way it's gonna, I think it might die off. But we'll see. Alrighty, CBS Texas News, I think that's it. Multiple states monitoring possible spread of antivirus in Texas. Let's take a look at this video.
The best part
Of course, an ad.
every minute, 4 Americans are diagnosed with cancer. For those over the age
Dude, imagine if cancer spreaded, dude. Oh my gosh.
of 40.
Welcome back, everyone. Going to get you to a developing story now. There are new concerns that the hantavirus could be spreading after a deadly outbreak on a cruise ship. French and Dutch health officials say at least 2 more people may be infected. Neither of them were on the MV Hantavirus cruise ship, but they both came in contact with a passenger who did later die from the virus. Georgia's Department of Health says it is monitoring 2 Americans who returned home from the ship, adding that they are isolating and they do appear to be in good health. At least 3 passengers have died aboard that ship, and another 3 passengers suspected of infection were evacuated yesterday. One of the dozens of passengers says passengers were misled about the seriousness of this outbreak after the first passenger had died. Have a listen.
Since we were not informed of any contagious disease, everyone was relaxed and people were not wearing masks.
Well, the World Health Organization says this strain of the hantavirus can be transmitted from human to human contact. The New York Times reports that California and Arizona are also monitoring residents that have been on the ship, though none are showing symptoms right now.
Which, that's good. That's A+. Alrighty. And apparently they've not even found nothing on the ship. They haven't found nothing that apparently caused this, but no. How deadly New Mexico outbreak led to discovery 5 hours ago. It might not be in English, but I don't know.
It's researchers with the University of New Mexico that first came across and studied hantavirus. Now they're the leading experts on it, assisting in cases worldwide.
This is the first known cruise ship outbreak of hantavirus ever that I'm aware of, and there are 2 other individuals that are sick as well that are not confirmed, but probable.
Hantavirus is making headlines nationally because of an outbreak on a cruise ship, and last year for taking the life of Betsy Arakawa, the wife of actor Gene Hackman. But it's not new to New Mexico. In fact, it was discovered by researchers here.
In what has become a daily briefing, health officials today say the disease seems to be confined to northwestern New Mexico with clusters in Crown Point and Gallup.
In the spring of 1993, there were several very young, healthy individuals from the Navajo Nation along the border of Arizona and New Mexico in Huerto Canyon that contracted a very mysterious, rapidly fatal disease.
That deadly outbreak in the Four Corners region eventually killed 16 people and led to the discovery of hantavirus. The deadly virus is transmitted by rodent droppings in urine. In New Mexico, the deer mouse is a common source. The virus and the disease that follows is rare, but can be deadly.
I hate to pause this. Alright, so apparently, as May 7th right now, 5 people have been confirmed to have hantavirus, and 3 others were suspected of contracting it, according to World Health Organization. So, that's not good. That's not good. But no cases have been documented in America, so that's an A+ still. Alright, the WHO has repeatedly, now the WHO said the same thing about COVID, like I don't care for the WHO, has repeatedly said to, the risk to the general public is currently considered very low, and not calling the outbreak an epidemic or pandemic, basically. But like I said, they don't know nothing. They keep saying this is not a start of a new COVID pandemic. They keep saying the same stuff. I don't listen to them. We just don't know. It could be. Health officials in Virginia monitoring resident who was aboard ship. The resident is in good health, which that's good. But there is a chance that I will say this. Like I said, how should I put this? If the person in Virginia becomes positive and starts to feel sick, and then it starts to spread, then that's bad news. In Texas, California, Arizona, they'll all be monitored. Even Georgia is being monitored. If any of those people in those states that I just said becomes positive and starts to feel sick, coughing, all this stuff, and then starts to spreading it to other people, including the doctors. Therefore, that is also very, very, very a negative sign that we do not want to ever see. Because then, therefore, we could lead back into a pandemic, and then we'll be on lockdown for a while. So, and like I said, but if I don't ever stream this again, right? If I don't ever stream none of this again, the virus thing, and I go back to games and stuff, then therefore we're A+. So if y'all hope all of that, but if I continue to stream this for a long time, it's not getting any better. Alright guys, I'm going to get off today because we've actually discovered some things, so that's good. what is this? Oh, we have not watched this, I don't think. Well, I've watched it, but not on stream. Hantavirus video first death reported by crew captain 7 hours ago, which that was on April 11th, and then his wife died April 26th.
Good morning, everybody. Naya, this is my sad duty to inform you that one of our passengers sadly passed away last night.
And everyone's like, what?
Tragic as it is, it was due to natural causes, we believe, and also whatever health issues he was struggling with. I'm told by the doctor were not infectious. So the ship is.
Yeah, see right there. Yeah, he told everyone, hey, this is, like I said, April 11th, and then his wife died at 26th. Apparently, apparently that the fact is, if you look at this, that when he told everyone there was a passenger on the ship who died and passed away, everyone was like, whoa. So, which is just not good whatsoever. But yeah. Not good whatsoever. So right now, it kind of seems like the reason why I'm going to cut this to a short stream is because a lot of they're just monitoring things right now. And I knew that was going to happen, but I didn't expect it to be in the United States so quickly. But due to them allowing them go back onto the planes to go back to their home countries and stuff, then that makes sense. But tomorrow we'll see. Tomorrow's the future, and today's the past now. So we'll see exactly what happens. That's all I'm gonna say. But at the end of the day, then if I'm live tomorrow again, therefore it's starting up again. So we'll find out. All right, guys, I'm off for today. But yeah, we'll see exactly what happens later on and stuff. Tomorrow we'll see if anyone else has died, if any more positives or anything else. I'm just glad we went over this today again. Second day doing this. Let's hope this is the last. Maybe. I mean maybe, because the way COVID was, the way this virus could be, now they're calling it a disease, which they didn't call COVID a disease really, they just called it a virus, but we'll see later. Peace out YouTube. Peace out Facebook.